try to give them to us. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career.
Crawford took the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that,
let's call a spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's gonna be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him.
Roy Jones Jr. believes Canelo Álvarez wouldn't last against Terence Crawford, pointing to a decline in the energy and sharpness Canelo once possessed. He voiced disappointment over Canelo's current form, questioning why he seems diminished at this stage. In contrast, Jones praised Crawford's determination, focus, and elite skills. He argued that weight won't be a decisive factor, as Crawford's technique, timing, and ring IQ can offset any size advantage. Jones warned that facing a fighter as skilled and relentless as Crawford would expose Canelo's current weaknesses, making the matchup more dangerous than many expect.
It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch. Yeah. And what I'm seeing is I see a hungry Crawford, a Crawford that has been looking for the opportunity for a long time, finally getting the opportunity, and really ready to grab the opportunity. And with Canelo, I see a guy who's not necessarily hungry, but loves to entertain, loves to give us the big fights. Always tried to give the big fights. He finds a way to give us big fights. Not gonna always win them, but he always tries to give them to us. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career. I don't know. It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch.
Yeah. You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
When you know how to box, when you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
Roy Jones cautions that if Canelo enters the fight overconfident, assuming victory over Terence is guaranteed, he risks a harsh wake-up call. He stresses that underestimating Terence's skill and strategy could result in a tough, potentially punishing defeat for Canelo in the ring.
It's a hard one to call, and I'm going to tell you why it's a hard one to call. It's a hard one to call because it'll all be predicated upon how Canelo approaches the fight. If Canelo approaches the fight like he's the man and he can box and outbox Terence Crawford, he'll get beat. If he comes out and shows that he really wants to go out and prove to whether he's still the best, he might win. So it all depends on which Canelo come to the dance.
Olympic boxer Omari Jones has openly expressed his belief that Terence Crawford will come out victorious against Canelo Álvarez. According to Jones, Crawford's weight gain for this fight is unlike the usual approach taken by fighters moving up in divisions. Instead of adding size recklessly, Crawford has approached the process with careful planning and precise execution. Jones explained that Crawford has maintained his speed and agility by incorporating the right diet and conditioning routines while putting in the hard work necessary to compete at a higher weight class. This methodical preparation, Jones believes, makes the matchup more of a win-win situation for Crawford.
And like me personally meeting Crawford several times, it's like the man is just so competitive. It's like I don't even have to say nothing to him. He'll just like, man, when we sparring, it's like his competitiveness is always gonna put him over the edge, and then he just has that like, I'm not gonna let you bully me, or his skill set. And it, I know they talk about Charlo when Charlo moved up, but I feel like it may be a little bit different for Canelo this time around because Crawford took the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that, it's a win-win.
So you don't think Crawford, gaining that weight, because I saw him, he's pretty big. You don't think that's going to be a disadvantage for him in this fight?
No, it looked like he put it on.
Even with the real challenge of facing a bigger opponent, Jones believes Crawford's skill, discipline, and commitment will help him adapt effectively. He notes that Crawford isn't adding weight just for size, but is building his body to carry it efficiently without losing the qualities that make him dangerous in the ring. For Jones, this fight highlights a disciplined athlete pushing himself to new limits and proving his ability to rise to the occasion against one of boxing's most formidable champions.
You know, the nutrition, the you know, like I said, the training. You know, Crawford, he trains hard, so I feel like, I know they say he probably went up to like 185, so he has to lose that weight. But I think if he did it the right way, which I know he did, he'll be successful in September.
And I know, like we discussed earlier, you know, we talked with your pro debut, and now you're 3-0. Your last fight, July 19th against Blanco, and it was actually your third win by knockout.
Yes.
Super proud of you. How are you feeling about your pro career so far?
I'm feeling great about my pro career. I definitely feel like it's off to a great start. My pro debut in my hometown, and then my second fight, Atlantic City, on the Boots card, and then my third fight on the Ben Rodriguez undercard. So Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, they're putting me on these cards, shining light on me, giving me the TV time.
Former world champion Paulie Malagnaggi has taken note of Crawford's transformation, particularly his increased size ahead of this bout. He sees this as a major advantage rather than a drawback, noting that Crawford has added mass without losing the quickness, footwork, and timing that define his style. Malagnaggi explained that many fighters moving up in weight often lose sharpness, becoming slower and less mobile, but Crawford has avoided that pitfall.
You know, I mean, listen, let's call a spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's gonna be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. You know, Roy Jones Jr. You know, put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him. Good old Manny Pacquiao did the same thing, you know. So you know, there's times where it affects, and there's times where, you know, I guess if you put it on the right way. Only Crawford knows it because the way he's training, right? Because you're going to be sparring with this added weight. You're going to be doing the boxing training with this added weight. So you're going to know how to, you know, maybe taper it down if you need to, or keep it going if you need to. You know, I think over the course of camp, if you start to feel too yoked up, and you know you get big, and then you know you're sacrificing reflexes, you're sacrificing athleticism, I think you're gonna feel.
Crawford, however, seems to have found the perfect balance, gaining the strength and durability to face a naturally larger opponent like Canelo while keeping the agility essential to his style. Malagnaggi credits his professionalism and attention to detail in training, noting that the added size complements his existing skill set. In short, Malagnaggi believes Crawford can perform at his peak despite the jump in weight, and may even benefit from the extra power when dealing with Canelo's pressure.
Heavyweight kind of weight. What's your thought about that?
Yeah, I mean, well, Roy Jones is Roy Jones, but also Terence Crawford is Terence Crawford. But John Ruiz is not Canelo Álvarez. So that's another aspect of that comparison. And yes, you know, to exactly what the champ said, exactly what Abel Sanchez said, you know, you're going to put on weight, you're going to be a different fighter. And I can say this even as a fighter as myself, as I've gotten heavier in my retirement, I try and move around the gym, it just feels different. And even when you start camp, you feel different in the beginning than you do at the end. But listen, we're still 4 or 5 weeks away. I don't know exactly what Terence is weighing right now. And even if he does say what he weighs, man, he's gone out there and said he's weighed, you know, all types of crazy numbers just to get media to respond. So it's really not really going to know until the fight. We see these guys next to each other. He might look bigger right now, but he might not be that.
Renowned boxing analyst Max Kellerman has delivered a sharp technical breakdown of the Terence Crawford vs. Canelo Álvarez matchup. He highlighted Crawford's jab as one of the most precise and effective weapons in boxing today, fast, well-timed, and capable of controlling a fight's rhythm. While Canelo once had a similarly sharp jab earlier in his career, Kellerman noted it has declined in recent years. This, he argued, gives Crawford a clear edge in range control and point scoring. Beyond the jab, Kellerman praised Crawford's tactical intelligence, calling him a fighter who adjusts in real time and capitalizes on openings others fail to notice.
First attribute, best jab.
Crawford.
Best defense.
Crawford. Nowadays, Crawford. I would say early in the fight, Canelo. And earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years. Although Crawford is also hittable. With any fighter, when you talk about their defense, the question is not, can they be hit with a shot? You take punches. Everyone, the greatest defensive fighters ever get hit. Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep, Floyd Mayweather, they all get hit. The question is, can you hit them with combinations? And both guys are hard to hit. With the two-piece, hard to hit.
Yeah. So who has the best footwork out of the two?
In terms of cutting off the ring, last fight notwithstanding, Canelo has gotten much better at cutting.
He contrasted this with Canelo's reliance on natural size, strength, and power, which often enables him to dominate smaller opponents. In Kellerman's view, if Crawford can disrupt Canelo's forward momentum and turn the fight into a thinking contest, the tactical battle will strongly favor him. This blend of technical precision and fight IQ, Kellerman believes, is one of Crawford's greatest advantages heading into the clash.
He had a problem with that and was much more comfortable counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford.
Okay.
But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton.
Popular boxing commentator Showbiz the Adult has offered a balanced and respectful perspective on the fight. He acknowledged Canelo's physical strength and the intensity of his training camps, which have helped him maintain dominance at the highest level. Canelo's ability to absorb punishment, apply pressure, and deliver sharp counterpunches makes him a dangerous foe for any fighter. At the same time, Showbiz praised Crawford's unique background, highlighting how his early wrestling experience has given him an exceptional ability to read opponents, counter their tactics, and adapt under pressure.
Canelo uses his legs, he uses his core, and then his neck itself to lift up Bivol like Bivol was a featherweight. That is a huge representation of how strong Canelo is. When you look at his workouts, you can tell why he was able to do that. All these damn neck exercises that I wouldn't dare do. Okay, that stuff looks painful. The squatting and all that stuff that he's doing is exactly why Canelo Álvarez, honestly, is a strong fighter. He tried to do it again with William Skull. William Skull shook out of it. But he is a bull. Listen, Terence Bud Crawford is strong. He is, okay? And he understands leverage and he understands those things because he wrestled. Honestly, very true. But Saul Canelo Alvarez is also extremely...
Across the boxing community, a clear consensus has formed. Crawford's strategy will be the key to this fight's outcome. Analysts view this as more than just another bout. It's a defining moment in his career, one that could cement his place among the all-time greats. A win over a champion like Canelo would silence any lingering doubts and elevate his legacy to new heights. To make that happen, Crawford must rely on precision, patience, and adaptability, steering clear of reckless exchanges where Canelo's power is most dangerous. Experts believe his plan should center on controlling distance, using angles to halt Canelo's forward pressure, and gradually wearing him down. In the end, they say, this fight will be as much a mental battle as a physical one, with victory going to the man who stays composed and committed to his strategy for all 12 rounds.
Understands that he has to be smart. And I think with this one specifically, it ain't just about being smart. He knows he has to look like he's never looked before, because again, if he doesn't and he beats Canelo, everybody's just gonna say, well, that's Crawford. You know, so I think he knows that this is the performance of a lifetime and everything has to look right. He knows in order for it to look right, he can't just go out there and let the dog go. The dog is, you know, he got to work his way up to the dog. Hey, show the clip real quick. I don't know if you showed it already, but this is the dog you talking about right here, right? And so this is, I pulled this clip right here. I seen it on social media this morning.
Don't do that. That's what I'm saying.
And I pulled this clip, right? But this is Terence
That's who he is.
He's not gonna swing on Canelo. He already know that part of the game. But what I asked you, were you ever trying to send a message to your opponents? He's letting you know, and it's no act. And that's what I really wanted to show, is that's not an act.
No.
That's not, there's 30 security guards.
I don't know, it feels a little contrived.
You think so?
I think a lot of people feel it's a little like.
Well, I'm glad you used a big word that most of us don't know.
Hey, I don't fight as good as you guys. I had to learn some big words, right, to make up for that.
Don't look it up. Just ignore what
you need big words to get out of fights. You know, you need big words to get out of fights. But you know, okay. So case in point, our guy Hafey, sitting right there, producer extraordinaire. He had a picture of Terence Crawford in New York for the Crawford Spence press conference. And there was this look, when Terence, he gave this look to Spence that reminded me of like Dwight Muhammad Kawi and a young George Foreman.
Super middleweight contender Edgar Berlanga has shared his thoughts on Crawford's mindset ahead of the Canelo fight. He urged Crawford to stick to the style and approach that have brought him success, rather than overhauling his game to compensate for the size gap. While acknowledging that moving up 2 weight classes is a huge challenge, Berlanga noted it can also level the playing field in certain ways. He believes Crawford's skill, ring IQ, and adaptability will matter more than trying to match Canelo physically. Berlanga stressed the importance of clean execution, discipline, and composure under pressure. In his view, Crawford is already showing the mindset of a champion by taking on such a dangerous fight, and it's this willingness to face the toughest challenges that separates great fighters from the rest.
You gotta go in there, and he just gotta fight him. You know what I'm saying? You gotta go in there. I think Crawford just gotta go in there and do what he gotta do. You know what I'm saying? He gotta just be Crawford. You know, show his IQ, show him why he's a 2-time undisputed, world champion, and go in there with confidence. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. It's a big weight difference, a big weight jump. That could be a difference in the fight. Because obviously, it's like me jumping up to heavyweight. Obviously, I'm a feel the power. I'm a feel that size difference, compared to my other fights. So I just think that he got to go in there and just be himself. And I said, if he loses, we'll just all know that, hey, he just jumped up 2 weight classes to be great. You know what I'm saying? It's not, he's testing himself. He's testing himself a great fighter. So, and I don't doubt him. I don't got no doubt in my mind. He's a 2-time undisputed world champion for a reason. So, and I don't think none's gonna phase him in that fight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the power, maybe the size. You know what I'm saying? And Canelo, he's not knocking Canelo out. So, he just got to go in there just IQ.
Would you lean towards Canelo still in that fight?
I got faith in him. I think Crawford could do it. You know what I'm saying? I think he could do it. Just like I said, just the size. The only shit that throws the fight off is the size and obviously the power, and Canelo's IQ too, because Canelo got IQ. You know what I'm saying? And Canelo fought a lot much bigger guys. So I know the Crawford's power ain't gonna phase him. I know Crawford's size ain't gonna phase him either. You know what I'm saying? So, but for me, I think
legendary trainer and commentator Teddy Atlas has kept his assessment simple yet impactful, calling Terence Crawford a special fighter with greatness within him. Atlas sees in Crawford a rare blend of physical tools, technical mastery, and mental strength that enables him to rise to any occasion. He emphasized that greatness isn't just about talent, but about delivering when the stakes are highest, a quality Crawford has consistently shown throughout his career. In Atlas's view, the fight against Canelo is another chance for Crawford to display that greatness on the sport's biggest stage.
Overrated? Terence Crawford versus Canelo Álvarez at 168 pounds.
Canelo's really good. Really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire. It's in his mind. It's in his makeup, where he came from. I know he's moving up in weight class. Can he carry it? But those intangibles, I believe that he has.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.